Following their first preseason game, which Denver Broncos players helped or hurt their chances of making the 53-man roster? But before we talk about that, guys, I want to shout out the affiliate partner for today's video, Green Gridiron Helmets. Use code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below to save off your first purchase on authentic NFL helmets. From small replicas like this one behind me to full-size authentic helmets, they've got it all. Again, that is code DENSYN, DENSYN, link in the description below to save off your first purchase from Green Gridiron Helmets. Thank you so much to them. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Let's go ahead and bring in my updated 53-man roster projection for the Denver Broncos. And starting off with quarterback, there's no change there. I still think the Broncos are only going to carry two quarterbacks on the 53-man roster, Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. They carried three last year, but that was a special set of circumstances because Zach Wilson was here. You couldn't waive him and risk another team poaching him after you had given up draft capital for him. Even though he was your third-string quarterback, you had to keep him on the active roster for those reasons. But this year, I think it's going to be different. I think they're ultimately going to only carry two on the active and then another one on the practice squad. Will that or will that not be Sam Ehlinger? I don't know at this point in time. We'll talk about that a little bit later. At running back, that's where we do have a little bit of a change from last week. Last week, I had them keeping 5 running backs, including Michael Burton at fullback. Now, I don't think there's going to be a spot on the 53 from Michael Burton. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a contributor on Sunday. He'll still be elevated from the practice squad. But I do believe that they're going to only carry 4 running backs on the 53, and Jaleel is still going to be a part of the 53. I know a lot of people are saying that Jaleel's on the outside looking in. I couldn't disagree more. And I think his limited usage in the preseason game against the 49ers is an indication of that. Sean loves Jaleel. John Gruden has his Gruden grinders. If Sean Payton had a similar thing, Jaleel McLaughlin would be one of them. Jaleel is the first guy in, last guy out every single day. Sean Payton has repeatedly spoken out about his work ethic. And most importantly, Sean Payton has compared Jaleel multiple times to Darren Sproles. I think Jaleel is going to fill that Darren Sproles role, where you can get him the ball on a swing pass or on a screen, just various roles like that. That's what Jaleel does pretty well, and Sean loves him for those reasons. Jaleel is the only pure scat back, true traditional scat back that you have on this roster, and I think that role's valuable. I think we should be talking less about the RB1, RB2, RB3 nonsense. We should be more talking about what roles are these guys going to fill. J.K. Dobbins, for example. He's going to kind of be a hybrid between Samaje Perine and maybe a little tiny bit of Javonte Williams, but he's going to be a more explosive version of those players. I think that he's going to be your third down pass protection running back. That's the role that J.K. is going to fill. As far as R.J. Harvey, he's going to be your Pierre Thomas. He's going to be your Alvin Kamara. He's going to kind of do a little bit of everything for you. Jaleel's going to be your scat back. And then Blake Watson has elevated his stock over the last couple of weeks, and I have him making the 53-man roster now over Audric Estime. I think Blake might be inactive on game day, or Jaleel could be your inactive guy as well. But Blake also does a little bit of everything. He lines up at receiver. You could get him the ball on Texas routes, so on and so forth. Blake's more of a receiving back, meaning that he runs routes. Jaleel is more of a scat back, meaning you get the ball to him in space, he can make a couple of guys miss, and he'll give you a good play that way. So, at the end of the day, all of these guys are going to have specific roles, and these are the 4 running backs that I think Denver is ultimately going to settle on for the 53-man roster. Tight ends, no change from last week. I still have them keeping Evan Ingram, Adam Troutman, and Nate Atkins. No change either at wide receiver. And Trent Sherfield, yes, I have him marked here as special teams. He's going to be a really big contributor on offense. That was very clear after the 49ers game. So, yes, he's going to be a special teams player as well. He said in his press conference yesterday that he prides himself on being a two-way player, and I think that's what he's going to do here in Denver. Offensive line, here's where we have another change. I have them keeping an extra offensive lineman. I initially only had them keeping 8, but Nick Gargiulo has been awesome in the preseason, and he was really awesome at the start of training camp as well. I think he's solidified himself as a backup guard for this team, and I'm just going to be brutally honest. Ben Powers played like trash in that game. And if Ben Powers continues to struggle, especially as the Broncos transition to more of a wide zone-based scheme, Nick Gargiulo, by the middle of the year, could step in and be your starter. You're not going to cut Ben Powers for financial reasons before the season, but if we're 8 games in, for example, and Powers is still struggling out there, keep an eye on Nick Gargiulo to maybe claim the starting job. No change on the D-line. I still have him keeping 6. No change at edge rusher. No change at linebacker. No change at corner. No change at safety. No change at special teams. And then we do have a couple of changes on the practice squad. I do have Audric Estime making the practice squad. I think that ultimately he is going to make this team in some capacity, but if the Broncos want to upgrade at power back, I think they might monitor the waiver wire for a potential upgrade. That's why I have an asterisk next to his name. Additionally, it's the same case with Sam Ehlinger. Ehlinger has not played well in training camp or the preseason. I don't think that he's done enough to wow the Broncos. So if they can find an upgrade at third-string quarterback, they might just do that. Tyler Bidet, I think the Broncos are going to be able to sneak him through waivers. He'll be on the practice squad, and if there are certain games where they want him to play, they can elevate him. You can elevate a guy from the practice squad up to 3 times. Michael Burton was on the practice squad at various points last year. They utilized all 3 of their elevations with him, and then he ended up going to the active roster full time. Courtney Jackson and Joaquin Davis, I think they're going to be your undrafted wide receivers. I now have Davis making it over Jerwan Newton. Davis had a really strong game in the 49ers game. I still have Caleb Lohner only making the practice squad. I think they can pass him through waivers. I think he needs another year to develop before they can depend on him to be a playmaker in this offense. And again, if you want him active for certain games, you can elevate him. That's the benefit of the practice squad. It's not like a few years ago. The practice squad is basically an extension of your active roster now because these guys can play in games. And outside of that, no further changes from last week. If you guys want more of an explanation as to why I have other players making it, you can reference my video from last week. Alright guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. And let me know in the comment section below, guys, are there any changes that you would make to this list? Or do you think that this is a sufficient list? Do you agree with me on all these? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.